Hi, my name is Sarah Beth, and I'm an occupational therapy student at the University of St. Augustine, and I'm going to be working with you today. Before we get started, can I confirm your first and last name as well as your date of birth?
Brianna Barcelo, May 25th, 1998.
Nice to meet you, Brianna. Do you prefer to go by Brianna or Bree? Nice to meet you, Bree. So as I said, I'm working with the occupational therapist. Our main goal today is just to get to know each other, do a quick little evaluation, and set some plans and goals. That way, when we meet in the future for our sessions, we can really stay on task and reach those goals by the end. Does that sound okay? Fantastic. So I see you've recently been through a hip replacement. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on with that?
Yeah, so I was visiting my neighbor downstairs, and I must have taken a wrong step, and I tumbled down the stairs, and yeah, I hurt my hip, so I had to come to the hospital.
That sounds really painful. Well,
It
we're
was.
glad you're still with us. Do you currently use any assistive devices in the hospital, or did you use any of these assistive devices at home before the surgery? And if so, what?
Before coming here, no, I was pretty able to walk around and things like that. I didn't have any assistive devices, but now I do. I have a walker. I use the walker here in the hospital.
And are you feel really comfortable with that walker? Would you want to progress to a cane? Do you have any goals with that?
Well, I would eventually like to not use an assistive device, so a goal of mine would be to just be able to get back to how I used to be, not using one.
Okay, fantastic. So I know right now we're still in the hospital, so one of our big goals is to get you home so you can be independent and hopefully work so you can be independent without that walker or cane. Tell me a little bit about your home so we can really assess to make sure that you're really comfortable going back home.
Well, like I said, I in my apartment complex, I actually have to walk up 3 flights of stairs, and there isn't an elevator, so that's a big thing for me. But the doors of my apartment are pretty wide, so I can walk through with them with my walker. The rest of my home is an open concept home. I have an open like concept between the kitchen and the living room. Um, I do have a few like 2 doors to go from my bedroom into the restroom. I do have a tub in in the bathroom as well. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So is it how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms?
One bedroom, one bath.
Okay. Perfect. And then for your living situation, do you have any roommates? Do you have any neighbors you rely on? Do you have any people that come and visit you very often?
My family comes and visit, but I do live with my husband. Yes.
And tell me a little bit about the roles that each of you play in your household. Do you do the cooking? Does he do the cooking? Who cleans?
Um, well, I typically do the cooking and the cleaning, but uh, he does other things around the house as well. We kind of like alter roles and things like that.
My mom always says that she cleans and then my dad just produces dirt. So
Oh,
I get
that's
that.
good. That's good.
So before the surgery and before your fall, what did a typical day look like for you?
Well, I'm 65 years old, so I am retired. So I would usually just run errands with my husband, and then in the late afternoon, we would go and pick up my grandkids from school, and then we would bring them back, and we would just hang out with them until my my daughter would come and pick them up, and then take them home. That was pretty much it.
And when you ran errands, did you usually do that walking, biking, in a car?
We would usually drive to the grocery store, go to Publix together.
Besides running errands, playing with your grandkids, do you have any other hobbies that you really want to work towards being independent of?
I really love baking.
Okay.
I love baking.
What's your favorite recipe?
I made brownies recently from scratch, and they were very, very good.
I might have to get that recipe for you.
Oh yeah, I'll share with you. Yeah.
So, before your procedure, did you have any issues with any other activities, playing with the grandkids, baking, getting around the house, up and down those stairs?
I would say up and down the stairs was a little difficult. Also, going from standing up to on the floor because the grandkids do love playing on the floor. I would find that a little bit difficult. Um, but other than that, no. I feel like as I get older, it becomes a little more challenging to do those things. But so far, so good.
And you said that you had 3 flights of stairs, is that correct? Do you know how many stairs are in each flight?
Mm, no, I'd say maybe in total, like close, like in the mid 20s.
All right. Do you have any other goals you would like to set or try and meet during our time together?
Um, well, like I said, I have a tub in my restroom, so I feel like that's going to be a little bit more challenging. So I would like to just become more independent when it comes to my self-care and my self-care routine.
Yeah, self-care.
Mhm.
All right. And then how do you like to start the mornings? Do you typically get up and that's when you bathe and brush your teeth? Or do you get up and get a pot of coffee, go for a walk, and then get ready for the day?
Well, I usually get up and I'll brush my teeth and I'll shower and then I'll usually make coffee and breakfast and things like that. Um, that's pretty much how I start the day.
And then what about winding down for the day?
Same thing. I'll come home, I'll make dinner, and then once dinner and everything's cleaned up, I'll shower, things like that, and then brush my teeth and just watch TV until I go to bed.
Okay, perfect. It sounds like you do a lot to make sure that your hygiene is kept up. And you did say you had a tub.
Mhm.
So can you describe kind of the layout of your bathroom? Do you have two sinks? Do you have one sink? What kind of tub do you have and shower?
Um, I have one sink. It's pretty narrow. My restroom is pretty narrow. So you walk in and I do have one sink, and then next to the sink I have the toilet, and then it's the tub. The tub is pretty high.
And then has anybody spoken to you about maybe getting a tub bench or any sort of seat that you can have so you don't have to stand so long?
The tub bench.
So a tub bench is going to be something that sits in your tub. That way, when you want to go and bathe, you typically will use like an extendable shower handle and you can sit down in the bathtub. That way, if you get really tired standing or just need to take a little bit of a break, you have something to sit down on. It also makes it a little bit more stable for you with your hip being replaced. You don't want to put too much weight on it necessarily, and so that gives you the option to still be able to bathe independently without having to rely on somebody else making sure that you're stable or having to take a walker into the bathtub or shower.
Okay. Yeah, that would be something I'd be interested
Okay.
in. No one has told me about that, so thank you.
Perfect. All right. And then when it comes to going back to those goals, and you said being independent and baking, um, do you have an oven that's more on the floor, or do you have an oven that's like lifted up into more of your cabinet area?
My oven is more on the
More
floor.
on the floor. Okay. So that we'll have to try and work out, just because bending might be a little bit difficult with your hips, but that's okay. And then you said you really like to play with your grandkids. How old are your grandkids?
They're 10 and 11.
10 and 11. Okay, so pretty active. I'm sure they've got tons of energy. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Do they typically like to play on the floor, or do they like to sit on the couch and play video games, or are they pretty much just like running around all the time?
I would say they alter between the floor and the couch. They like to play video games like Mario Kart and things like that, but they also play with Legos. And they usually do that on the floor.
And then before your surgery, were you able to get down on the floor with them and get back up, or was that a little difficult?
Well, I was, but it was a little difficult. Yeah.
So that seems like something we could work on, maybe being able to get more mobility, range of motion, so you can still do those things that you really enjoy, as well as those daily activities of bathing and getting around your house, especially tackling those stairs. Do you have any other goals that you'd want to address or anything else you'd want to talk about?
I think ultimately I just would like to become more independent. I feel like this has put a stop on my life, and I want to continue and proceed and be able to spend time with my family without having to use anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally understandable. So I'll enter these notes into our computer system and I'll talk to your healthcare team and we'll really get moving forward so that you can be able to do those things that you really, really love.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
Um, how long do you think I will be, like, how long do you think my recovery time will be?
So I'm going to talk to your physician as well as your surgeon about that, just to make sure that the procedure went really, really well. And it ultimately depends on your recovery as well as how strong you get through your recovery. First, we'll start off with non-weight bearing, and then we'll go to a little bit more weight bearing, and we'll see how that is. And so, depending on how that goes for you and how you're feeling, that might expedite the process. However, if you're having a little bit more trouble and want to take it a little slower, that might take longer. It'll also depend on your health insurance too as well. So we'll talk to them about that too.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I just want to know. Okay,
Perfect. Well, if that's it, I'll enter these in and then I'll see you soon.
okay, thank you.